This 90-90 degree position is going to be great at challenging our hip mobility. And while we do rotations, we isolate that hip with regards to our upper body, understanding that we can move our upper thoracic spine without moving the hips or the lower back. Now, we have variations towards the actual exercise that enables us to get better hip mobility so that we can get better at squatting, get better at deep lunging, or even our deadlifts. So from here, we're going to first try to understand rotation. So let's get ourselves to place our elbow onto our thigh and pull with our elbow, finding your lat. Once we pull from the elbow, push into the opposite hand so that you find a nice push into the ground. Looking away from the ground behind you, you'll find an even greater rotation of the upper spine while remaining under tension. Rotating towards the back and finding a nice hip tension will allow us to create a squeeze in the shoulder blades. Going back, dominating through the lat, looking over our shoulder, pushing into the ground. Now that's going to be great at, again, finding rotation. Let's explore other exercises that can actually get our hip to move better. So, we discovered rotation of the hips versus rotation of the upper back. Let's go into the lower extremity, the hip, and its rotation. So we were at the 90-90 degree position. Let's focus first on letting our capsule of our hip release. We're going to lean into the leg that is facing forwards, and we're going to make sure that this hip is not restricting our movement. So let's try to find a position where when I go forwards, I don't feel restricted here. Now it can be even having to extend the leg where you might feel the hamstring stretch, or just letting the knee come forwards. And if you're really okay with it, you can keep the hip in a nice open position. So from here, I'm going to lean forwards. I want us to now focalize on lifting the knee up towards your chest. You're gonna hold that tension. Now, the more you lift it, the more you're going to feel your lower back area, your hip joint really stretching into its capsule. So we're leaning, holding for about 5 seconds, and then slowly release. Walk your hands back. You can even lean back a little bit. And from here, we're going to try to lift our foot. See how I'm trying to rotate into my external rotation while lifting my foot and pressing into the ground, into the floor. Again, reaching forwards, lifting to external rotation, and internal rotation while I lift my foot off the ground. Now, you might want to start compensating through this hip. Try to lift without forcing the movement, and eventually you want to be doing this without support of the hands. That will be later on. So let's come back to the rotation of the hip. We're going to do it on the other side, getting yourself into a 90-90 degree position. There you go. You're going to lean forwards and let yourself pull from the knee and feel that stretch all the way in the back of the hip. Deep breaths for 5 seconds and then slowly come back onto your glute. You can bring your hands behind you and then try to lift your foot off. And again, you might see yourself start to compensate. I'm going to try to brace your core to help stabilize your upper body. Leaning forwards again, lifting your knee. And that's awesome for lower back tension or pain, because if you release your hip, that might have been stuck. Maybe the lower back needs to work a little less. Let's go one more time. Dropping your chest, lift your knee. And then coming back up, lift your foot. All right, so those are internal, external rotations against an actual force, in this case the floor, and gravity as well. And try to work on those. see if we can get progress out of it. Now I'll show you in the next video how to work on internal rotation. Hey friends, welcome back. So we went through our upper body rotations, our hip rotations. Now let's get a bit deeper in the rotations of the hip. Let's get ourselves to, again, a 90 degree position. And we're going to stay nice and extended at the hip of the back leg. So you might need to bring your knee back a little bit more. From here, we're going to raise our foot. Notice how I'm pushing into the ground with my knee, and I'm feeling a little pinch in my hip, and bring my foot back down. Now, if it starts to cramping or really uncomfortable, you can always get out of it if you'd like. However, try to fight through the cramping as it promotes what we call solution to your muscle confusion. Of course, it might take some time, a couple sets or repetitions to get out of that cramping. So by lifting, working on repetitions here, you can get yourself to improve your internal rotation with hip extension, which will get important as you work on the end movements of, let's say, a squat or deadlift, or even your split squats. Now, again, see how I'm trying to adjust or compensate through my rotation, try to stay upright and work on isolation, maybe a smaller movement. And again, I'm not going very far today as my hip's a little stiff. So again, try to make sure that you do this on both sides, working maybe your weaker side, a couple more extra sets or reps. And again, we're in that 90-90 position. We're gonna try to lift our foot, pressing into the floor, move our knee, breathing out with the effort, breathing in. Again, the cramping might come in, the side glute might really burn, that's all right. And again, try not to compensate too much. Awesome. So that's a great internal rotation exercise for your hip joints. Try those out in combination with the other 90 degree variations and explore your hips, explore your body. Make sure that you improve your mobility so that you can get stronger in the weaker positions of a lift or of any daily life that might create some potential injury mechanisms. So catch you later. Thanks again for watching Healthy